What's up, guys? I'm out here messing with the car again, as I usually do on the weekends. I am back out here now that I've got more time recentering my rear beam to kind of try to get these tires aligned perfectly with both rear fenders, the wheels and tires. I did it in a rush last time, so I got it pretty close, but not perfectly. This time I've got a lot more time, and I'm actually taking everything off that you really need to take off to make this work, to get the most out of it and get it as centered as possible. So I had some people ask me last time, so I'm just going to run really quick and show you. I'm kind of in the middle of this process, but I'm going to show you what you need to do if you want to try to do this yourself by just giving you some quick tips. This is not a tutorial. There are tutorials on YouTube if you really want a tutorial, but this is the way I do it. I'm not a mechanic. It has worked. Do this at your own risk. But anyways, what you want to do is first you want to get the car up on a jack, and you want to get it supported on jack stands. Typically, I will use the rear bar if I'm not doing something with suspension as far as where I put my jack stands. But because I need that rear bar to move up and down freely and left and right, I actually, you're going to have to put the jack stands under the pinch welds, which is right behind this plastic thing. I typically don't recommend people using pinch welds because they're not that strong and you can bend them easily. But for a job that you got to work on your suspension, you probably do want to use you have to use the pinch bolts or the pinch welds for this. So once you get the car up in the air so you can fit underneath it, get it supported, then what you're going to do is you're going to try to, I use a couple boards and I've got them nailed together. But what I want to do is I'm using a floor jack, but I want to kind of, sorry, forgive me if this is not the best video, but I want to kind of get the pressure of holding this rear beam up as centered and as wide as possible. So I use a couple pieces of wood on top of my jack, and what it does is disperse that that weight being carried further out than just in the middle, so it doesn't kind of try to bob back and forth on you. So once you have that supported, what you need to do then is kind of jack it up, get some tension off your shocks. The shocks are held in by these 16mm bolts right there. What you want to do is you want to pull one on each side. You want to pull the bolts out. It's pretty easy with standard tools. You can do this whole job. You're going to back those 16mm bolts out, put them off to the side, let the shocks hang freely behind them on both sides. Then what you're going to do is you're going to drop pressure off this rear beam and allow your springs to fall out. I've got my springs over there. Those are my Swift springs. I actually just installed them a couple weeks ago, but I'm taking them out to do this job. And then the other thing you want to do before you get too far with dropping this too far, you want to undo these little clamps or whatever that are these bushings that are holding the brake lines in. You're also going to want to undo this 8mm bolt right here that's holding the brake line, just to make sure you don't accidentally stretch those brake lines too far. And then, so yeah, once you get the shock free and the springs out, what you've done is you've released all the tension, the left and right pull from this beam. So now what you want to do is you want to get under here. And also, I do recommend putting your wheels and tires under the car just in case you have an accident. Don't want this falling on you. What you're going to do is you're going to get under here. I hope I'm not forgetting anything. And if you see here, guys, on each side of this rear beam, it is held up by these, I think these are 15. Hang on, let me find I'm pretty sure they're 15. Just check them. But I think they're 15mm bolts. There's one here. Oop, there's one here. Here, and then there's also one kind of in the back that's a little bit hard to see. You can kind of see it, but they're all the same bolt. What you want to do is you want to loosen those again with something supporting this bar. You need to make sure you have this bar supported, or else this will fall out. You're going to loosen all three. There's 6 total, 3 on each side. Loosen them, but do not remove them. Just let it get loose enough where this beam will drop a little bit, just slightly, maybe not even like 1/4 of an inch or something. It does not have to move. But what that will allow you to do, and I'm gonna get out of here, what that will allow you to do is there will be no tension on this bar. And then you can use a pry bar, or you can use a rubber mallet, whatever you want, and you can slide this bar left and right. The way it's designed, there is a little bit, not a lot, but there's a lot of left and right adjustment that you can go to center the beam under the car. There is no front and back adjustment. So it will not move forward or back. It will only move left or right. So it's not like you can get your angles off or your alignment off or anything like that, because you're literally only kind of moving it left or right. Now, if you do this, you may want to take this to an alignment shop and just make sure you haven't jacked anything up. And of course, do this at your own risk. I've done this on quite a few cars that have beams like this. There's been no issues. I've never had a problem with tire wear or anything. It's just my OCD kills me as far as this thing not really being centered under the car. So yeah, so that's what you do. Then what you're going to do is take what I do, there's probably a better way to do this, is I run a piece of blue painter's tape from here to here, and you just take a measurement from here to that tape line, and what that's going to do is it's going to make sure that it is matched up with the fender, because that's what's most important to me. Ford doesn't have great tolerances, so if you use things underneath the chassis of the car, it may be centered under there, but it very well may not still be centered with the fenders. And I'm gonna get up once you get done with this job, because the fenders are probably not perfectly the same on both sides. That's why I use a tape line on the fender itself, and I get my measurement from there. So that's what you do, guys. You just drop the bolt from the shocks, allow the shock to go free, pull out the springs, put some pressure back on that bar, pull out the, loosen up the 3 15 mils on both sides, and then kind of move it, adjust it, take a measurement, rinse and repeat. Do that quite a few times, and then once you're done with that, you should be able to get it centered, put everything back together. Don't forget to put the bolts and the nuts and stuff in your washer or whatever this is back on your brake lines, put everything back together, and you should have perfectly centered wheels. So I hope that was helpful. We'll talk to you guys later.